Fuck. All right, Chat. Chat.
I'm lost.
Well, hold on. I wanted to besides the sexless one, because you were saying like how is hypergamy personified now, right? So you gotta. Okay, so more and more women are meeting men online, right? I think somewhere between 20 to 50% of new marriages they met online, right?
Less than half of women are online though. Like less than half of women use dating apps.
I understand that, but it's growing exponentially. It used to be, we go back 10 years, right? It used to be kind of taboo to be on a dating app.
Do you know what the number one dating app on planet Earth is?
Yeah,
Instagram.
Yeah, and they don't keep data for that. So, so what I was gonna say was like with the conventional dating apps, it's growing in the popularity of people meeting, and then on top of that, you add in Instagram, right? Because a lot of girls are meeting guys on Instagram as well. So you're saying, well, okay, how is hypergamy personified? If you look at the dating apps, women swipe right on Tinder, like on only 5% of the guys. On Bumble, most guys are virtually invisible. I think like 88% of men are invisible because women screen for 6 feet tall. That's a component of hypergamy. And here's the other thing too. You got to understand that hypergamy is a multivariate situation. What that means is women screen for a multitude of different things: height, income, competence, aesthetics, teeth, physicality. All these different things come into it. So whether it's not just for money, because you're looking at it like from a money perspective. But what I am saying is that women, right, even though they say, oh, I want egalitarian and equal partnership, they don't necessarily they're not attracted to that, or they're not aroused by that.
So I agree with you about dating apps, but dating apps, we've seen time and time again, that data is not reflected into real life. This idea that this percent of men is having sex with all these women isn't borne out by the data. There seems to be a percentage of sociosexual women, and there seems to be a percentage of promiscuous men, and they seem to be fucking each other. That seems to be what's going on with that.
Yeah, but
and then also what you're saying about being
that percentage of guys that are
height,
promiscuous is a minority of men.
yeah, and it's also a minority of women. And what I'm saying, it's not just this minority of men that's having sex with all the women. There seems to be 10% of women around that are high in sociosexuality. They're more likely to have casual sex, and those women and the men that are also high in that are kind of sleeping with each other. Most people, if you look at all the GSS data from the past few years, over 80% of people are having sex with one person that year. They seem to be having sex in relationships. Also, when you talk about height, you're right. On dating apps, because we have no choice. Every time I've used them, I go 6 feet up too. Otherwise, I'm going to get way too many men.
So that's
but no, but when you when you actually look at what's happening in real life, ResearchGate did a big thing on this. It was like over 60,000 men, and they looked at BMI, they looked at height,
and that does have an effect.
No, it doesn't, because
yes, absolutely does. In fact, I can show you divorce stats for people who are overweight.
Pull up
that I do have.
That the research, at least when it comes to number of sexual partners, lifetime sexual partners, extremely short, and then there was extremely short, whatever, and then extremely tall. Between extremely short and extremely tall, there was a difference of 3. You have 3 more partners.
Yeah,
when they looked at BMI too, it was the same. It's not like it makes.
And then here's the other thing too, because I want to because you're talking about this hypergamy, how is it personified, and then like. Again, we talked about this before, like in the 1800s, whatever that you were talking about before, marrying across social status, etc. Cool. But you got to remember, they were limited to their own geographic area. So a girl, right, she was only limited to the people in her neighborhood that her family knew, etc., in her town at best, right? But now, thanks to the internet, thanks to Instagram, etc., that has completely changed the game. And who's it changed the game for is women, because it's given women more options. It's created this aura of their grass is always greener on the other side. And here's the other thing, too. I can't tell you, and hell, you do this as well. Women always say, oh, I have so many guys in my DMs. I have so many men that approach me, etc. You are absolutely lying if you're not going to tell me that does not influence your mating strategies. Because when you know that you have a bunch of guys in the pipeline, you can go ahead and afford to be way more picky and way more nitpicky on certain things that aren't that really big. But that's why women are so selective nowadays, where most guys don't qualify, because they have a huge arsenal of men that are willing to date them. So what's effectively happened, thanks to technology, is it's actually made hypergamy stronger.
But what I mean is, why is that then not borne out? Because even now, people tend to marry across socioeconomic status, across IQ, even across physical attractiveness. So why are we not seeing with the advent of dating apps that now all these like Starbucks women are marrying lawyers? It's not happening.
Well, here's the thing. You're going to see it in the next 5 to 10 years once we actually have a good amount of time elapsed where social media, right, has been used.
Yeah.
Because
I'll tell you exactly why that is.
Hold on. Even in the past 5 years alone, there's been a drastic change in social media and usage and dating apps, etc. So we don't have the data yet. We're probably not going to see the data on the effects of what's going on now for another 5 to 10 years.
There was a 2022 study that looked at fraternity. Sorry, I know. They looked at the. Well, you told me that I would come here for a debate. So the 2022 study looked at
I didn't say words that says like.
They looked at fraternities and they looked at these so-called chads that get all these swipes, and they didn't seem. They had like a 4 point something % increase in partners. It wasn't like Tinder going into to these colleges where actually, like, yes,
I
people
really don't mean to be rude, but can we like allow other people to speak?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Like, I just,
If you got something to say,
I wanna say
like,
one
just
thing.
read,
Okay,
go like
I
this
wanna
and we'll know. Yeah.
So to your point,
Sure.
right?
Oh, okay.
Regarding dating apps, dating apps itself is manifesting women's true nature. Again, women didn't magically say, "Oh, 6 feet tall, good looking," is naturally in them. So dating apps that came about on the internet. I'm just saying before it was always there.
But with dating apps, we have nothing. Like, if I go on a dating app, I don't care if a guy's 6 feet tall, but I have
You
to
did
select
do
for
that.
something. But you can't
literally screened
otherwise.
for it a second ago.
But what I'm trying to say is I have no choice but to screen for those superficial things. That's why a lot of
Okay,
women don't use them.
maybe you're
That's why
different.
men are outnumbering women 3 to 1, 5 to 1 on these
Maybe
dating apps.
you're
Women don't like
different.
it.
They're outnumbering men 5 to 1 and 3 to 1 because they're not getting sex. That is the thing. They're playing. That is the reason.
Why don't more women use them? Why do less than like 40% of women use
honestly,
them?
because women.
Because you have Instagram.
Because women in every culture are less interested in casual sex than men, and these dating apps are for casual sex. But the point wasn't whether or not you have sex on there. The point was, did you find these other people attractive? If the top 20% of men are getting 83% of the right swipes, but the top 43% of women are getting 63% of the right swipes, that means in general, the distribution for men is equal, and the distribution for women is shifted to the left.
I understand that, but in real life, like, that's the thing. Like, if I go on a dating app, all I'm going to screen for, because I can only talk to 10 people, are the most attractive. But in real life, I don't give a fuck about that. So that's why I don't
I was bored too.
So listen real quick. Dating apps, right? Even before dating apps, didn't you worry about men's height or, for example, their looks off rip without dating apps? Yeah. Yeah? For you?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
So the question is, right? Before dating apps, right? Before you rebond.
You could do this with a yes or no.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, get your things ready. Before dating apps. Go ahead. Go ask your question.
How did you select for men? Was it height? Was it looks? For example, did dating apps actually change your opinion of how you look for men?
The dating
No,
apps
right?
changed.
No.
So from the very beginning, it was in you to want.
Hold on.
high-level men.
If it's a no, give me a thumbs down. If dating apps did not change your preferences in men, okay. All right. Mostly girls are saying it did not change their preferences.
So
Okay, only
hypergamy
2
was
did.
always there from
No.
the very beginning.
But what I mean is, you may say, okay, if your argument is women want this, women all want men that are 6 feet tall, fine. But what I'm saying is that the men that are 6 feet tall versus the men that are 5'5", 5'6", they're not having less, those shorter men are not having less partners, they're having different partners. And that goes along with it's a sort of mating, it's similarity attraction hypothesis, that people typically, even if they want this, what's happening in real life is people are still kind of falling, and then there seems to be a percentage of men and a percentage of women that are higher in sociosexuality, they're more promiscuous, and they seem to be hooking up with each other. The majority of people have had one partner in the
I'd
past.
be very reluctant to believe studies that deal with female promiscuity and them being honest and forthcoming about it. But you want to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say you're very smart, but I think that you talk too much.
Well, no, that's, you know what, totally fair. In my defense, when I got asked to be here, they told me there would be a switch.
Jasmine, will you
They told me,
and like
will you just go on his show and just talk to him for
I will
just go
absolutely,
stats?
sure. But what I mean
Let's just go
is,
stats.
in my defense, they told me that they would bring on they would have women like you on, and then women like me on separately. That's what they told me.
Women like me, though?
It's fine.
I want to know. I'm not even coming at you. Like, what is women like me? Because we don't know each other.
Oh,
No,
shit.
what I mean is like women who are I haven't heard you. Maybe you're super equipped to have this conversation, but I
No,
was
I'm
asked
actually
on.
very not. But I would just like to let other people speak.
Go
That's
ahead,
it.
speak. No one's on your mic.
Yeah, no, to be fair, like
Yeah.
she thought this was going to be more of
Yeah.
a debate. I think this is great. I think what they should do is just the two of them should
I
square
agree.
off
That's what I
and
thought
just
this
do like
was.
something on Zoom.
Also, the chat is finding this kind of like.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I'm
also,
with you.
they're getting very engaged.
I disagree
so
with
we
you.
gotta, like,
Real
Also,
quick,
like,
I disagree.
it's losing me a little bit. I'm
real-
not gonna lie. Like, that's why I say, like, I'm not equipped to have this conversation. So
Yes.
it's like,
Right.
Yeah,
Can we just
so I
mix it
thought
up
it was
a little?
I disagree with you about the hypergamy thing. I absolutely.
We can have our own
for
conversation
sure,
later,
for
which is
sure.
what I thought this was.
I'm just saying, like anecdotally, I'm confused that you don't see it either. If you go out on a regular basis, saying the women fighting for the same, like 6 women fighting for the same dude. I see it constantly, all the time. Dr. Scott Galloway, he agrees with me. Richard Reeves agrees with me. Like there is an inequity when it comes to dating, and anecdotally, I see it. I see a dude with a 500 body count and several of my friends with 3. I see that all over the place. But if you don't believe that that's a sign
Yeah,
of
and I think
hypergamy,
we should. I don't want to take
Okay,
more
cool,
people,
yeah,
but we
I
can have
understand.
our
Talk about
own.
this outside of the podcast.
Oh,
I still want to hear other people's
You
ratings of
got something,
themselves.
Pixie? Go ahead.
Yeah.